Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell here with my co-host, as always, Glenn Martin. Today we're going to talk about a subject that might not be as fun for all of you, might be fun for some of you. Most of it is speculation, but if you guys have not been, if you've been up on social media and up on Ravens news, you know that there's been a lot swirling around Glenn's favorite player, Antonio Brown, and the fact that he just posted on his social media not too long ago him photoshopped in a Ravens uniform. So we're going to talk about why we should or why we shouldn't sign him, and we'd like to know your guys' opinions as well. Make sure you subscribe if you're getting value out of this and find it interesting. Make sure you give us a like as well. But we're going to start with the contrary. So, Glenn, I'm going to pass the baton over to you here. Give us the reason why we should not sign Antonio Brown.
Okay, well, let me just start by saying that this isn't his first time of photoshopping himself into another team's uniform to try and push the team to signing him. We saw him do it with the Niners after Jerry Rice's comments. So he's done this before, and it hasn't worked. So, but let me just start why I would be not in favor of bringing Antonio Brown. And people, when I bring this up, they say, "Come on, give the guy a second chance. Give the guy another chance." Well, look, Antonio Brown has had many chances in this league. And because he is so incredibly good on the field, he just kept getting more and more money to go with it. But when you start to look back at some of the stuff he's done over the past few years, it's a long list, man. I mean, it's not a short list. It's not like he's gotten second chance, third chance. This guy's gotten an awful lot of chances. I'm running out of fingers and toes when I try and count. So let me just start from January 8th, 2017. And this was kind of the beginning of the end of his time with the Steelers. The Steelers had just defeated the Chiefs in the divisional round in 2017. And Antonio was asked by at least two teammates to keep a low profile on social media. So what does he do? He immediately he does Facebook Live from inside the locker room, which is, as anyone who's ever heard an athlete talk, that's like a sacred place. So he live recorded his coach Mike Tomlin's post-game speech where he insulted their next opponent, being the New England Patriots, right on Facebook Live. So that wasn't good. So he did apologize for that and for being a distraction. But then just a month later, he was involved with a domestic dispute, and he was accused of pushing the mother of his kids, and da-da-da. Okay, so he had his attorney said it was a baseless allegation. So everyone moved on. Brown signed a massive deal. Let's see, just a couple years earlier. So they're going to move on from that. Okay. Then in the next season, in 2018, he was accused of nearly killing a toddler after throwing furniture off of his 14th-story balcony, and nearly hit a child who was on the ground. So, and he apparently blamed someone else for throwing the furniture and ended up settling out of court and paid for that kid's entire college fund. So, not something I'm sure he's proud of. But then he ended up in week 17 in 2018. He got into an argument with Big Ben, skipped all the practices during that week, and was subsequently benched for the last game of the season because he was unhappy in Pittsburgh. All right, so then on ESPN, there's Ryan Clark, a former Pittsburgh Steeler great and now an ESPN analyst. And he wanted the Steelers to get rid of Antonio Brown. He said that the team had created a quote, a monster by giving him a big contract. Antonio Brown responded by calling Ryan Clark an Uncle Tom. So that was a nice response. Then Brown, in February 12th of 19, he was found guilty of reckless driving and failed to show up for court after he was cited for driving more than 100 miles an hour, heading towards Heinz Field for a Thursday night game. So maybe he was running late. Okay. Then the Raiders got him, and he vowed to be a good teammate. They traded, a third-round and fifth-round draft pick to get Antonio Brown from the Steelers, and he vowed to be a good teammate and bring good energy to the Raiders. It started in April 3rd of 19. He missed the practice because he forgot to wear the proper footwear before entering the cryotherapy chamber, and he frostbit his own feet. which, look, I mean, I'm not going to really get – I mean, that's a kind of a, obviously an error by him. But, hey, I don't know anything about cryotherapy. I mean, maybe they forgot to tell him. So, okay, that's fine. But then he was banned from wearing his old helmet because a new NFL rule barred any helmet that's more than 10 years old to be still being used. And he used that as his reason to not practice. That went on for weeks and multiple hearings that were all rejected, but he still consistently tried. Okay, that's fine. Then on August 14th of 2019, he was accused in a lawsuit of not paying his celebrity chef, who he hired to cook for him in the days leading up to the Pro Bowl, to the tune of $38,000. Brown's attorney said they would file a motion to dismiss this lawsuit. Okay, that's fine. Then Brown received notice from general manager Mike Mayock that he would be fined for missing all those practices for not wanting to play with the new helmet. Even though every other player in the NFL was fine with using the new helmet, Antonio Brown was not. So, look, Mike Mayock said, we're going to fine you. So Antonio Brown got that letter and quickly took a picture of it and posted it to his social media with a bunch of captions saying, when your own team want to hate, but there's no stopping me. Now, devil is a lie. Everyone got to pay this year. So we're clear. That was what yep. And then he went to the field the next day and got into a big argument with Mike Mayock in front of reporters, and allegedly called Mike Mayock a cracker, threatened to punch him in the face, and had to be held back by multiple teammates. He then came out just a day later and gave an emotional apology, apologizing to his teammates for his actions. Yeah, and then hours later, surprisingly, released a private video recording of a phone call between him and Gruden just hours after this emotional apology, just to really rub in how sorry he was, which was, interesting. So then he asked for his release. Brown did, via social media, of course. That's the good way to do it. And then as soon as he saw his release, he has a video of him screaming and running around how happy he was in his backyard. So then he goes to the Patriots. And before he could even take the field for the Patriots, he was accused in a civil suit of sexually assaulting and raping his former trainer on 3 separate occasions in 2017 and 2018. Brown lost his endorsement deal with the helmet manufacturer after the allegations of sexual assault surfaced. He played his first game on September 16th with the Patriots and caught a touchdown. And then just a few days later was released from the team. So, look, this guy's had and I didn't even bring up the fact that he had that video that he released of him screaming obscenities to the mother of his children while his very young children were right there, also surrounded by police, as he insulted, cursed out, berated the police right on social media in front of his children, using every colorful language you can imagine. So to me, it's because of all that I don't want Antonio Brown on the team. Everyone can point to all his on-the-field accomplishments, and there's no denying him. The guy was spectacular, maybe the best receiver in the league for a 10-year stretch, which is saying something. But I want all Ravens fans to remember that even if they're fine with all this craziness that he did and put the Raiders through and the Steelers through to some degree at the end of his career there, even if they're fine with all this off-the-field stuff, this is a guy who was unhappy with his amount of targets when he was the most highly targeted player in the NFL over 8 to 10 year stretch when Big Ben was throwing in the ball 180 times a year. The fact that this guy was unhappy with his targets when he was averaging well over 100 catches a season, what makes anyone think that he would be happy playing in an offense that ranked last in receiving yards for receiving core, ranked last in receiving touchdowns for receiving? What? I don't understand. Like, the guy, we don't throw the ball a ton to our receivers yet. Now people say, well, maybe because we didn't have great talent, and look, this year they're looking to throw the ball to receiver. Okay, maybe they're doing more. But there is no way he will even come close to the amount of targets he was being fed by a Hall of Fame quarterback, Big Ben. Now, I'm not a Big Ben guy, okay? Obviously, he's a Steeler. But I don't think anyone would agree or argue the fact that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
First ballot, mind you. And he was unhappy under those circumstances. So how does anyone think he could possibly, just because his cousin's here, his younger cousin, by the way, is going to be happy with half of those targets if he's lucky? I mean, I just don't see how he'd be happy. And as soon as he's not happy, we see what he does. He goes to social media and posts something. I mean, there's no way that he's going to go through an entire season without self-sabotage. I just don't see it. I don't know how it's possible, and why bring all that extra media, all that extra craziness to a team that's this close already. It was the number one offense in the league last year, set records last year, and we've already improved. So why bring in this guy for the risk that it could destroy a locker room? Now people say, oh, if one guy can destroy a locker room, how can that? Then your locker room's not that strong. Okay, what if he only gets one or two guys on his side during whatever altercation between him and Harbs or something? And what if those two guys, or one of those two guys, is Lamar or it's Hollywood, and it becomes a dissension inside the locker room? You can't win like that. So even if there's a small chance that could happen, I just don't think you take it. So that's my 2 cents. Now I know there's gonna be a lot of people disagree with me. And that's fine, but that is my opinion and my opinion alone. So, Jimmy, tell me your opinion and your opinion alone.
All right, so this is my opinion, uninfluenced by man, okay? First of all, I just want to draw all of your minds to the scene in The Office when they're coming back from being Michael Scott Paper Company. Do you remember that? And they're bought out by Dunder Mifflin. And he says, I want to bring Ryan Howard back. He needs a job. And he already defrauded the company. And Michael was like, look, sometimes I believe in second chances. So, you know what? That's about all I can say about the list that you gave, maybe. While they're reprehensible and I'm not happy, with any of those things in his track record and things. The other day I was listening to a blurb from Eric DaCosta when he made the pick at 55 with J.K. Dobbins, and he said some of the analytics team weren't excited about that pick, based on the analytics behind running back and stuff like that. But he said, look, for me, at the end of the day, he was the highest rated player on our board by far at that spot.
Yeah.
I took him, period. And so he said 2 words. He said, analytics are great, but to me, talent wins. Talent wins. And so I think that, with that same mentality, talent wins. He's a Hall of Famer on the field. I mean, I think that's undisputable, right? Like, undeniable.
Absolutely. Undeniable.
Books and is an incredible player. This is what I will say is that if I'm okay with bringing him in, one, now, before I say these things, I don't think the chances of these things actually happening is high because we're talking about Antonio Brown. Him and reason normally don't end up intersecting very often. Mm-hmm. But if we can sign him to the lowest amount of money possible and 0 guarantees, All incentives. And the other thing, too, is this. The moment you do anything, and lay it out for him, make it very simple. Any post that's like, X, Y, and Z detailed as the following, any outburst in practice detailed as the following, anytime you're late, anytime you fall asleep, you're done. No questions asked. Bye. See you later. That's it. So only under those circumstances would I consider it, but I'm totally for it. Under those circumstances. Now, once again, the likelihood, I don't know, because AB doesn't seem to be the most reasonable guy in the world. But a lot of the rap sheet that you read, he definitely is not the only player in the league with that type of rap sheet, right? But he is such a high caliber player. And the only thing, and I'm kind of going off here, the only thing I don't like is that he gets money from these social media outlets. He gets paid an insane amount of money from YouTube. He gets paid an insane amount of money from Facebook. He has legitimate contracts with these companies, right?
Yeah.
Part of his livelihood, so he's going to stir the pot. Why? He's incentivized to do so.
Yeah.
So maybe I would have a conversation with him about that. Say, look, we need to figure something out here because, while you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, because what's your focus? Is it football or is it social media?
Exactly. So, and if you can't have one or the other, at some point you're going to have to decide.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I think what we have to remember, I think a lot of people are forgetting. Right now, he's on the commissioner's exempt list, pending a resolution to the issues he has with legal issues and civil issues. So even when those issues are resolved, and let's say he gets off on let's say everything goes away. There's nothing saying that the commissioner isn't still going to suspend him. I think it's more than likely he will be suspended due to this, just because the commissioner has ultimate power. So if he looks at this as something that was detrimental to the shield, as they always say, then he's going to suspend him. And I don't think and we have to remember that there was a policy put in place since the Ray Rice issue with domestic violence. Now, he's accused in previous years with domestic violence, and also now with sexual assault. I find it hard to believe he's going to go unpunished, even if he is, ultimately absolved of any wrongdoing in the court system. Right. So even if he does come back, I find it hard to believe he's going to suit up for the first however many games, maybe six games he might be missing, maybe 4.
I mean, it could.
Who knows? It could go on longer. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't like the idea of bringing him in, because say you're right. Say they bring him in on a incentive-based contract, and for whatever reason in week 3 he posts something that they don't like, and they say, that's it, we're getting rid of you. What do you think the first thing Antonio Brown would do under those circumstances? I mean, I know what I think he would do. I think he would go right to social media and go on some crazy rant about how the Ravens this. He would probably try and air any dirty laundry he may have picked up during the time there, and maybe even falsify some type of claims, and maybe throw some stuff out there. I mean, who knows what he's capable of, but we can only go by his past moves, and his past moves aren't good. I mean, they're just not good. There's a reason this guy you mentioned, he's a Hall of Famer. Nobody in the world would doubt it. Why is he still why is he still a free agent when he's undoubtedly the most talented guy that was on the market other than Tom Brady this year? He's the most talented guy so why is he a free agent? Well, it's because of this stuff. So when people go, he should be here, you're crazy. Well, I'm not the only crazy one, I guess, because 32 other general managers aren't bringing him in for a reason.
Yeah. Just remember 2 words. Talent wins.
Talent does win. How old is he, by the way? I'm not even sure how old he is now.
32, isn't he?
32. Okay. So he's not 27 anymore either. Let's remember that. Now, I'm not saying he's
31. He's 31.
31. Okay. And he did pretty much.
So he's 32 when the season starts.
Okay. And he did miss. I mean, look, last year he pretty much took a year off. I mean, he played in the beginning of the year. But so maybe there's a little bit less tread on his tires. More tread on his tires since he did have a year off. But man, I don't know, man. I feel like there's more downside than upside with bringing a guy like Antonio in.
Well, you guys let us know. I'm really interested to see your comments. Answer the question as follows: do you agree with me, or do you agree with Glenn? Because
don't be so mean. Everybody's so mean in them comment sections sometimes, man, calling us names. That's okay. That's all right.
You guys listening and watching, so make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a like and hit that bell button so you can stay notified when our new videos come up. And we will talk to you guys soon.
See you.